I had 3 older brothers. They didn't pay any attention to me, but they spoiled the fake daughter rotten. But in the end, all 3 of my brothers met a miserable fate. My eldest brother was the classic domineering CEO, rich and handsome, but he ended up losing his entire company after getting entangled with a big shot in the industry. My second brother was once a famous singer who loved stargazing, but a car accident disfigured him. He became depressed and died. My third brother, the one I loved the most, was a national champion eSports player, but his team was ultimately disbanded and he lost a leg. Then one day, the fake daughter suddenly fell out of favor. My eldest brother took me to a jewelry auction, my second brother gave me spending money, and my third brother outright threw his best friend into my room saying, "Didn't you say he was handsome and you wanted to sleep with him once?" I transmigrated into a book and became the cannon fodder female supporting character, the real daughter. The original owner tried to compete with the fake daughter for attention and ended up driving herself into a psychiatric hospital. As for me, I just wanted to live as a salted fish slacker, peacefully getting through the days. At this moment, the female lead, Daria Dominic, the fake daughter, stood between my 3 brothers, looking pitiful. My mother wanted to give me the best room in the house, which originally belonged to Daria Dominic. My eldest brother, Devlin Dominic, looked at me coldly, his eyes indifferent. As he said, Daria has a lot of things. It's inconvenient for her to move. It's okay if you temporarily stay in the living room, right? Devlin Dominic had sharp features and an aloof, arrogant demeanor, a genuine aristocratic young master. He was the standard doting brother and the #1 devoted character in the original novel. After learning Daria Dominic was adopted, he doted on her even more crazily. He remembered all her favorite foods, every small habit, even her menstrual cycle, for which he'd cook her red sugar water. His love was deep yet restrained, silent like a star in the dark night, always twinkling. According to the plot, the male and female lead's love story was full of pain and endless struggle, while he became the sacrificial lamb. In the end, after starting a commercial war with the male lead, he lost everything, and his life crumbled. Daria Dominic had never truly loved him. She only used him as a tool to provoke the male lead. My eldest brother is rich and good-looking, but he's nothing like the domineering CEO in romance novels. The novel CEOs dragged the female lead to bed for 3 days and 3 nights, but my brother only dared to hold her wrist, never her waist. He was willing to give his heart and guts to her, but still wasn't loved. What an idiotically devoted man. Thinking of this, I felt a little sorry for him, and wanting to save face for him, I just forced a smile and obediently nodded. "Okay, I'll listen to you, eldest brother." But strangely, even though I agreed, my eldest brother's face was still as black as the bottom of a pot. Seeing his strange reaction, my mother pulled me into her arms and said apologetically, "Mom wasn't thoughtful enough. How about Kalen stays in your second brother's room temporarily? He rarely comes home anyway." My second brother, Duncan Dominic, heard this and unhappily said, "Mom, I plan to stay for a long time this trip. Are you trying to kick me out?" My second brother was once a shining star in the music industry, but later, Daria Dominic, to show off to her classmates, secretly let a fanatical stalker into his dressing room. As a result, my second brother was splashed with acid and disfigured. Yet, she claimed, "No matter what happens to second brother, I'll always like you the most." That sounded exactly like a broker luring someone into a trap, but my second brother genuinely believed her. Initially, fans blamed Daria Dominic. Later, to escape public pressure, she didn't hesitate to slander my second brother, calling him a time management master, and claiming the fan was an ex-girlfriend he cheated on during their relationship, even throwing lavish pool parties. She even pretended to be righteous to annihilate kin, selling photos of my brother's disfigured face to the paparazzi for a high price. From a bright star in the music sky, my second brother plummeted to the abyss, becoming the laughingstock of the entire social network. Under immense pressure, he became depressed and ended his life. What a tragedy. I just finished recalling the plot, and the second brother, who hadn't even glanced at me before, suddenly turned and stared, eyes wide in shock. I blinked back at him, confused. My mother saw my second brother's fierce look and pulled me close to protect me. "If you don't like it, just say so. Why are you being so aggressive with your sister?" She then turned to me. "Then Ralph, you sleep in the living room tonight." My third brother, Ralph Dominic, was an arrogant and unrestrained eSports genius, only a year older than me. Last year, the eSports championship coincided with the college entrance exam, and he didn't hesitate to give up the exam to pursue his gaming passion. Our father was furious and immediately announced the disbandment of his game studio. Luckily, Ralph Dominic managed to shine, winning the national championship. After a severe beating from our father, he promised to study diligently this year, which saved the studio. In the original novel, my favorite character was the kind-hearted genius teenager, Ralph Dominic. Unfortunately, he was later harmed by Daria Dominic, breaking his arm, and his club also fell apart. He spiraled downward and never recovered. Thinking of this, I was about to speak when Ralph Dominic's voice rang out from behind, "Then I can sleep in the living room first." But that didn't sound right. That's not what happened in the original plot. At this moment, my third brother should have unhappily refused. Suddenly, my eldest brother's cold voice cut in. "No need. I come to the company tonight. Tell Adela to clean your room and let your sister stay there." My second brother also stepped forward. "It's still better for her to stay in my room. It's been so many years. I want to talk to her a bit. After we finish talking, I can sleep on the sofa." What is this? Why are they suddenly fighting over who gets to host me? At this moment, the female lead, Daria Dominic, clenched the hem of her skirt, her eyes brimming with tears, trying to hold back the crying to get attention. But who cares about her now? Seeing this, she finally couldn't hold back and burst into sobs. "I'm sorry." Eldest brother, second brother, third brother. "It's all Daria's fault. That room belongs to Kaylin. I'll move right away." Daria Dominic cried hysterically for a while, but none of the three brothers followed the script and comforted her. The eldest brother frowned in silence. The second brother stepped back to answer a call from his manager, and the third brother grabbed my suitcase, said nothing, and dragged me straight away. Daria Dominic still stood there sobbing. Does Kaylin hate me? Is that why she doesn't want to stay in my room? Thanks to my third brother's quick reaction, I successfully avoided the plot point of having to share a room with the female lead, a turning point that helped me escape a lot of trouble. The second brother retreated, claiming a busy schedule with his manager, and the eldest brother also turned and left, citing work. Only Daria Dominic remained, still sniffling in the living room, suddenly appearing unusually lonely. When my third brother opened the door, I was immediately overwhelmed by the dazzling technology lights everywhere. This was truly every eSports fan's dream room. The pristine white bookshelf was filled with game character models and a collection of championship trophies that he had won in various tournaments. My third brother showed off while introducing every piece of equipment in the room, then said, "Kaylin, do you play games? Let's play a round." I was a little stunned by the sudden invitation. In the original plot, my third brother absolutely hated others entering his room and especially didn't like anyone touching his gaming equipment. The only exception was the female lead, Daria Dominic. The original owner once just touched his PS5 out of curiosity and was pushed to the ground, hitting her head on the cabinet corner and bleeding. Yet, tonight, my third brother and I played games until late, immersed in the virtual world and unable to quit. In his eyes, tiny stars still twinkled, and he said, "Kaylin, you've got talent. Want to try going professional?" The next morning, the two of us finally woke up after being called multiple times by Adela, almost being late for school. As soon as I arrived at school, I heard rumors. I heard the real daughter of the Dominic family was brought up from the countryside. How can that country bumpkin get into our school's accelerated class? I doubt she even understands English, and she probably won't keep up in the club. She's never even touched a piano. Daria Dominic, why isn't your country bumpkin sister here yet? When Ralph Dominic and I, with our dark under-eye circles, appeared at the classroom door, Daria Dominic was about to say something but changed to a meek look directed at my third brother. Ralph Dominic just gave a cold nod, expressionless, exuding an strangers keep away aura. He pulled me to an empty seat at the back of the class. The whole class started buzzing. Is that Ralph Dominic, the national eSports champion? I heard he's the one who dotes on Daria Dominic the most among the three Dominic brothers. Daria Dominic, why doesn't your sister greet everyone? Is she putting on airs? Daria Dominic turned her head, looking at my brother and me with her big, lovely, teary eyes. Don't say that. My sister is just a little slow. I hope everyone will look out for her later. I almost spit out my water. Who are you calling slow? They started gossiping. She probably had bad grades in the countryside and can't keep up, yet she still got into the selective class. It must be because of that Egan George guy. Ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. The mocking laughter echoed throughout the classroom, but I wasn't angry at all. Laugh to death. Go love whoever you want. I don't care. Everyone knows the Dominic and George families have had an engagement since childhood. When I was lost, that engagement fell to Daria Dominic. In a few days, my mother will invite the George family to discuss the matter, intending to take the engagement back for me. But the female lead, Daria Dominic, cried and made a fuss, stubbornly refusing to agree. Her love affair with the male lead, Egan George, started in high school and dragged on until they became adults, entangled in endless love and hate. From imprisonment, amnesia, physical and emotional abuse, to chasing his wife, they played out every kind of dog blood drama. But I had no interest in that engagement. I just wanted to attend school in peace. I was very serious, neither arrogant nor inferior, but the result was a burst of roaring laughter. Daria Dominic, seeing her classmates laughing at me, looked delighted, her face full of satisfaction. She even pretended to be benevolent and said, "Everyone, don't laugh at my sister. This engagement was originally meant to be returned to her." At this moment, the male supporting character, Alvin, who constantly clung to Daria Dominic's skirt, also spoke up. "Daria, you're too kind. Don't let others take advantage of you. Has that little Kaylin Dominic even looked in the mirror before trying to compete with you?" Wait, this line is wrong. This was supposed to be my third brother's line. Why is this guy saying it now? Since the start of the semester, everyone in the class knew Ralph Dominic doted on his sister. But when the male lead heard it, things took a different turn. Love turned into hate, and he started bullying and harassing the female lead at school. My third brother stepped up to defend her and got his arm broken as a result. From then on, the relationship between the Dominic and George families completely fractured. Later, the female lead even killed the entire Dominic family who had raised her. And I, the only surviving cannon fodder character of the Dominic family, was locked in a mental hospital. At this moment, my third brother closed the book in his hand, his icy gaze fixed on Alvin. He walked quickly over, his tone calm but full of murderous intent. "Hello. I'm Ralph Dominic, the brother of Kaylin Dominic and Daria Dominic." Alvin paused for a moment, smiled, and extended his hand to shake, but before he could touch it, my third brother locked his arm, followed by a crisp crack. Boom! Alvin was slammed to the ground, writhing in pain without being able to utter a sound. My third brother leaned down, his voice sharp and cold. "Did you think the Dominic family had no one? If you dare to insult Kaylin again, I won't just dislocate your jaw." Immediately, the students who had been mocking me fell silent. Daria Dominic stood rooted to the spot, her face flushed with shame, which was annoying to look at. Alvin was taken to the infirmary and disappeared, probably sent home due to severe injury. Strangely, the male lead, Egan George, was nowhere to be seen today outside of the test time. When school ended, my third brother and I waited in the car for a long time but still didn't see Daria Dominic. My mother was worried and told my brother and me to go back into the school to look for her. She wasn't in the classroom or the sports field. Finally, we heard Daria Dominic's phone ringing from the girls' restroom. But at the same time, a familiar male voice echoed out, "Daria Dominic, you're so naughty. You even paid attention to a guy like Alvin? I spent $2,000 to hire someone to write your birthday wishes, and you treat me like this? Also, you're so close to your brothers. You might be doing something inappropriate at night, right?" Daria Dominic cried and sobbed, "No, I didn't. Alvin was beaten by my third brother. I was just..." Suddenly, a third voice spoke up, stuttering and unclear. It's all my fault. Don't blame Daria Dominic." I pressed close to the door, peeking through the crack. It was Alvin, the one who was supposed to be resting at home. He was holding his chin, his jaw dislocated. It hurt just to hear it. Just then, the door swung open. Daria Dominic and I looked each other in the eye. Her hair was messy, and her eyes were still wet with tears. Egan George reached out and squeezed her chin, forcing her to face him, saying, "Why are you so disobedient? Didn't I tell you you're only allowed to look at me? Why do you keep looking at other handsome guys?" Oh God, that possessive voice made me want to puke. Egan George turned his head, following Daria Dominic's gaze, and saw my brother and me. He sneered, "Ah, so my fiancé is here too." This line is sickeningly familiar. It's another scene of the male lead getting angry out of jealousy. I immediately spoke up, interrupting his flow. "I'm not interested in you. If you're in a hurry for the engagement, give it back to Daria Dominic. I don't want to get involved in your little love games." For a male lead, used to being praised everywhere, being rejected by me like this was certainly the first time. Egan George's face was clearly green with anger. And Daria Dominic finally couldn't hold it in anymore, her eyes welling up with tears, her gaze passing over me and fixed on my third brother, her voice choked. Egan George, if you have a problem, aim it at me. Don't make things difficult for my sister and third brother. Wait, that's wrong. This plot point. Wasn't this the day the male lead broke my third brother's arm? Why was it brought up so early? Third brother, you must stay calm this time. Don't fall for the trap because of your emotions. Ralph Dominic frowned, then spoke in a composed voice. Then we'll be leaving first. In that moment, all sorts of emotions, fear, regret, resentment, despair, flashed across Daria Dominic's face. Before I could react, my third brother grabbed my hand and pulled me away. Behind us, Alvin's faint groans echoed, his voice distorted by pain. Dominic, you're a coward. Your sister is being bullied and you're running away. You don't deserve to be her brother. This guy, even with a dislocated jaw, was trying to insult us. He truly lives up to his name as a devoted male supporting character. He even rushed forward, trying to pull my brother's hand back. Before Ralph Dominic could do anything, Egan George from the side kicked Alvin away. Simultaneously, his group of lackeys rushed over, blocking our way. It's over. This fight is unavoidable. I glanced at my third brother's hand, reminding myself, this hand absolutely cannot be broken, or who will carry me to rank up in the game? I said seriously to my third brother, it's come to this. I'll do my best to keep your hand intact. Except for Egan George, the other boys all targeted Ralph Dominic. Daria Dominic stood by the side, crying, Stop hitting him! Don't hit my third brother! Egan George sneered, looking dangerous. What's wrong, Daria Dominic? Are you feeling pain? I glanced over and saw that the third brother was still able to hold on, so the main plot hadn't deviated too much. In the original novel, the male lead personally broke my third brother's arm. If that's the case, I just need to deal with this guy first. I started recalling all the moves from my military physical training: punching, kicking, locking, grappling, a continuous sequence without a break. While Egan George was still stunned by my reaction, I quickly grabbed his arm, slammed him onto his back, and pushed him straight into the toilet bowl in the restroom. Are you kidding me? What was my background in this novel? A country girl who grew up strong and healthy. Someone tried to help him. Someone tried to grab me. 30 seconds later, everyone was sprawled on the ground. Just then, the homeroom teacher, John, appeared and shouted, Stop right now! A male student who had just run through the door saw his friends being beaten. To a pulp by me, immediately took 2 steps back, his face full of fear. Egan George stammered, Are you Kaylin Dominic? I've never hit a woman. Consider yourself lucky today. I gave a cold laugh. That's right, you don't hit women. You only get beaten by women. Egan George angrily spat out, Just you wait! And quickly left. Alvin was still groaning on the ground. My hand. It hurts so much. Daria Dominic, my hand is broken. Finally, an ambulance was called and took him away. As for Ralph Dominic, Daria Dominic, and me, we were invited to the teacher's office to meet with Mr. John. The atmosphere in the room was terrifyingly quiet. Daria Dominic began to cry hysterically, her tears pouring down as she said, Mr. John, this is just a misunderstanding. Alvin only wanted to protect me. His injury was really not caused by my third brother. Sister, stop pretending to be the kind sister. The broken arm was clearly caused by the male lead. Mr. John sternly asked, Then who injured Alvin? Daria Dominic said nothing more, just continued to cry. My mother, who was already waiting outside the school gate, rushed in as soon as she heard the news. Finally, my third brother spoke up. It was Egan George. He recounted everything that happened, and I continuously nodded in confirmation. Daria Dominic, however, shook her head frantically, desperately defending Egan George to the end. He didn't mean to. It was just a misunderstanding. Besides, he avoided all the dangerous spots when he hit him. He's actually very kind. I was so shocked I wanted to swear. Her attitude was of national shock level, a complete jaw-dropper. She's protecting the person who wants to destroy everything the Dominic family owns? The George family in the original novel was an untouchable clan. Today, thanks to Daria Dominic's effort, the feud between the George and Dominic families officially started early. Mr. John thought for a moment and told the 3 of us to go home for now, pending further investigation by the school. My mother was so angry that her face turned pale. She immediately scolded Daria Dominic and pulled her into the study to call my father. My third brother received a call from his partner at the game studio and went upstairs first. Only Daria Dominic and I were left in the living room. I was about to leave when she suddenly grabbed my arm. Her tone was full of resentment, as if she was trying to prove something. Kaylin, Dominic, don't think that just because you have some blood relation, you can steal the love of my parents and brothers. You will never win against me. They will always love me. Without waiting for my reaction, she video called my eldest brother and started crying. Wah, brother! The eldest brother cut her off. I'm in a meeting. We'll talk later. He hung up immediately. The only sound in the living room was the toot-toot of the disconnected call. Stunned by the rejection, Daria Dominic took a deep breath and called my second brother. This time, she didn't cry, her eyes red as she said, "Second brother, my friend couldn't get tickets to your concert. Can you?" My second brother replied, "I'm practicing. The signal here is bad." What did you say? Another cold hang-up. Before I could even chuckle, my phone rang repeatedly with a flood of messages. It was my eldest and second brothers. Turning on the speaker, I clearly heard, "Ralph said you two had a fight at school. Are you okay?" That was my eldest brother's voice. Less than a minute later, my second brother's voice message popped up. "I heard you dealt with that George kid? That's awesome! I have a concert this month. Want to go? I've talked to Mom. It won't affect your studies." Hearing those words, Daria Dominic's face instantly changed color. Her whole body seemed to freeze. I didn't care. I brushed her hand away and went straight upstairs. Just as I turned the corner of the staircase, I heard her mumbling distractedly. Behind me, how could this happen? I'm clearly the female lead. The next day at school, no one mentioned yesterday's incident. I don't know if they were silenced or just afraid, but Alvin vehemently denied being hit by Egan George, saying he just fell. The surveillance camera footage from that time also disappeared. The incident of Daria Dominic being bullied was suppressed, and no one mentioned it. The teacher didn't even criticize Egan George. As for him, he hasn't been seen at school for days, only showing up once for the inter-school martial arts test. Daria Dominic, for some reason, has become quite diligent in her studies lately and isn't pulling any more stunts. Since Alvin disappeared, the male supporting characters who used to cling to the female lead have also kept their distance. I'm enjoying my peaceful days like a vacation, going home every afternoon to play games happily with my third brother. My third brother excitedly said, "My friend is coming over later. He's also a partner at the studio. Show off a bit. I think you really have the potential to go professional." Hearing the word partner, I quickly recalled the plot. That person was Jasper, a male cannon fodder supporting character. He fell in love with the female lead at first sight and was later alienated by her, causing his friendship with my third brother to break. I immediately became wary. If he hasn't met the female lead yet, I must find a way to prevent them from crossing paths. Ralph Dominic didn't know what I was planning. He killed himself, died in the game while playing, and said, "You play first. I'll go out and make a call." As soon as he opened the door, he bumped right into Daria Dominic, who was about to knock. Her voice was sweet like honey as she approached. "Third brother." But my third brother acted like he had seen a ghost, immediately stepping back. Daria Dominic forced a smile, her eyes full of fragility and tenderness. "Third brother, this is the study material I compiled for you. I hope it helps a little." As she spoke, she tried to shove the thick notebooks into Ralph Dominic's hands. I don't know if the books were hot, but my third brother passed them from his left hand to his right, then back and forth, and finally blushed as he pushed them toward me. Thanks. Give them to Kaylin to look at too." Daria Dominic froze slightly, trying to maintain her smile. "That's right. Kaylin should also study a bit. Don't spend all day playing games with third brother. If you make him fail his exams, father will close the game studio, and all of third brother's efforts will be wasted because of you. I'm just sitting here, and disaster is falling from the sky. The person who ruined my third brother's entire life is you, Daria Dominic." Ralph Dominic looked flustered and quickly checked his watch, changing his tone. "Oh, right. Daria, you said you couldn't get tickets for second brother's concert last time, right? I asked someone to get you 2 tickets. Hearing this, the sulky look on Daria Dominic's face immediately vanished. She smiled radiantly and said, "I knew. Only third brother treats me the best." She rushed to hug my third brother. He panicked, his eyes wide, trying to avoid her but was hugged stiffly like a statue. My third brother pushed her away, clearly keeping his distance, his voice slightly sharp. "The delivery person is busy and couldn't bring them over. You should go pick them up now. I'll send you the address." Daria Dominic finally agreed to leave. As the door closed, my third brother sighed in relief. I recalled the original novel but couldn't remember this scene. It must be because I stirred things up that the plot has deviated. Not long after, Jasper arrived. Oh my God! This unlucky male supporting character is drop-dead gorgeous. His features are sharp and chiseled. He's not a delicate pretty boy, but the type of mature, strong man who is extremely charming. Oh my God, a handsome guy like this. Can I just sleep with him once? I thought this to myself, looking up at him with adoration. Just then, my third brother, who was drinking water, choked on a mouthful and sprayed it directly onto Jasper. The white shirt was wet from his chest to his stomach, sticking tightly to his body and revealing his hidden six-pack abs. My third brother hurriedly pulled Jasper into the room, saying, Go change clothes first." Since I was staying in his room, my brother's clothes were still there. My third brother rummaged through the closet, grabbed a hoodie, and threw it to Jasper, saying, "Wear this so you don't catch a cold." As Jasper lifted his shirt, his abs were immediately exposed, making my face flush. I lightly cleared my throat. I'll go out first." Unexpectedly, my third brother pulled me back. "Don't go! The game's about to start." "Hey, Jasper, we're all men here. Stop being a prude, change quickly, and come watch Kaylin's moves. She's got natural talent." At this point, Jasper didn't stand on ceremony anymore. He quickly took off his shirt and put on my third brother's hoodie. Tisk, tisk, those abs are enough to open a bottle cap. The game started. My third brother gave his spot to Jasper. My continuous maneuvers dazzled him. Jasper excitedly said, "Kaylin, you should consider joining our team." I shook my head and smiled. "I can't. I want to take the college entrance exam to become a war correspondent." Strangely, my third brother didn't play much game today. He kept making phone calls and even arranged a driver to pick up Daria Dominic. Jasper and I chatted while playing. The more we talked, the more familiar he felt, not because of his looks, but like I had known him for a long time. Just as I planned, the time Jasper left perfectly missed Daria Dominic's return. It seems the butterfly effect I caused is slowly changing the plot. My third brother was temporarily saved, but to my surprise, trouble occurred on my second brother's side. I heard that a fanatical stalker somehow found out the location of his practice room and splashed acid on him right as he was leaving. Luckily, my second brother reacted quickly and opened his umbrella in time. The acid only burned his clothes, and he was unharmed. The police arrested the culprit immediately after. My third brother frowned, full of worry upon hearing the news. My mother found out my third brother and I were secretly playing games and angrily locked all the equipment in storage. So, for the rest of the break, my brother and I sat seriously studying all afternoon. In the evening, we had extra tutoring, and the driver would take us to school. My third brother and I waited for quite a while before Daria Dominic rushed over. She looked very strange today, wearing a silk scarf tightly around her neck despite the weather not being very cold. At school, Egan George was also present after several days of absence. The math test for the interschool exam was extremely difficult, full of advanced knowledge. A classmate excitedly asked, "Egan, what did you think of the math test?" He maintained his confident look. It was all right. Daria Dominic, sitting at the front desk, immediately called out my name, making the whole class turn their heads. "What about you, Kaylin?" I replied calmly, "It was okay." Someone below scoffed. "Okay?" Egan's okay means he didn't get full marks, but her okay probably means she didn't even pass the threshold. The noisy scene immediately fell silent as the teacher walked in to hand out the test papers. The teacher said loudly, "This time, one student in our class achieved a perfect score, the only one in the entire inter-to-school exam." Daria Dominic's eyes lit up. "Congratulations, Egan!" But just a few seconds later, the shattering sound of disappointment rang out. "Congratulations to Kaylin Dominic, the student who achieved a perfect score." The teacher continued. "She scored 18 points higher than the second place student, Ralph Dominic, and 20 points higher than Egan George." The atmosphere in the classroom immediately became silent. A few seconds later, all eyes turned to my third brother and me. Some people didn't believe it and demanded to see my paper. Someone answered for them. No need to see it. "You wouldn't understand. She used calculus, university level." The crowd was speechless. I still smiled lightly and repeated, "It was okay." Egan George's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. He shoved the paper into his desk, didn't wait for class to end, didn't greet the teacher, and left. The male lead crashed and burned. Luckily, it was the math period. I managed to put on quite a show. I turned to my third brother and quietly mumbled, "Sorry, the original script had you in first place." Looking at the female lead, I almost spat out my water laughing. The study materials she gave my third brother were full of errors, clearly trying to sabotage him. Her face must be burning with pain now. Perhaps due to being overly provoked by me, Daria Dominic, who had never skipped class, disappeared after the first self-to-study session. At the end of class, I received a call from my eldest brother, Kalen. You and Ralph need to come to the central hospital right now. Mom is in the emergency room. My third brother and I rushed there and found my eldest brother, second brother, and Daria Dominic waiting in front of the operating room. Dad was on a flight back. Daria Dominic was sobbing profusely. It's all my fault. I couldn't protect Mom. My eldest and second brothers were both cold and didn't pay much attention to her tears. My third brother frowned and asked, "What happened? Why did you leave class without permission?" Daria Dominic wiped her tears and choked out, "I wasn't feeling well, so I went to talk to Mom. On the way back, we were robbed, and Mom was injured covering for me." That's not right. In the original novel, because my mother treated Daria Dominic very well, even. When Daria Dominic was forced to madness later, she never harmed my mother. Mom was completely fine. The plot has been completely derailed by me. Just then, my third brother received a call. As soon as he answered, his eyes instantly turned cold. "Send it to my phone." After saying that, my third brother placed his hand on Daria Dominic's shoulder. She thought he was going to comfort her and immediately rushed to hug him, but his grip tightened, making Daria Dominic unable to move and starting to feel pain. She groaned weakly. "Third brother, it hurts." My third brother lowered his head, his voice icy. "How much did Mom hurt when you stabbed the knife into her chest?" "What?" My eldest brother, second brother, and I exclaimed in unison. My third brother nodded. "I've sent the video to the family group chat. Sorry, to save time, I directly hacked into the company's surveillance system." The video started playing. It showed Daria Dominic secretly sneaking into the top floor, the CEO's office. That was my dad's office. He was still on a business trip abroad and hadn't returned. Daria Dominic turned on the computer on Dad's desk, looking for something. Then took out a USB stick from her pocket and started copying data. As soon as the copy was finished, she pulled out the USB and left the room, only to run right into my mother as she opened the door. My mother was initially unsuspicious, even smiling and asking how she was. But when she saw the USB stick being tucked into her pocket and the computer screen not entirely off, my mother's expression changed. Without trying to explain, Daria Dominic immediately turned and ran. My mother reacted quickly and chased her down the hallway. The video stopped here. Daria Dominic laughed in disbelief. "Third brother, you're accusing me of trying to kill Mom just because of this? Do you have proof?" My eldest brother furiously grabbed her collar and roared, "No wonder Dad asked me a few days ago if I had logged into the system using his account. It was you. Who are you taking company data for? Is it Egan George? Since you were little, Mom and Dad have loved you like their own daughter. Even when Kalen came back to keep you from getting hurt, they didn't even hold a family recognition banquet and never publicly announced you were adopted. And you do this?" But Daria Dominic's face remained indifferent, and she strongly retorted, "So, what about me? Eldest brother, are you saying you've kept your own hands clean? When you found out we weren't related by blood, you said you would protect me. But what happened? You suppressed your feelings, alienated me, avoided me. You're a coward. How dare you accuse me now?" A male voice rang out from behind. "You want proof?" It was Jasper. He handed his phone to my third brother and nodded a signal. The next video was played. In the clip, my mother was still chasing Daria Dominic, even running so fast that her high heels fell off. Daria Dominic ran into an alley with no surveillance cameras, clearly planned in advance. But she didn't realize that on that very day, an amateur photographer had set up a time-lapse camera at the corner. In the video, my mother caught up to Daria Dominic and demanded she hand over the USB. To everyone's shock, Daria Dominic pulled a small knife from her pocket and stabbed my mother in the abdomen. A while later, a person walked by, saw the blood, and stopped to look. Only then did Daria Dominic hug my mother, crying as if for real, "Mom! Mom!" The passerby panicked and called an ambulance. But because they were in a deep alley, the ambulance couldn't get in, and they had to use a stretcher. During that time, Daria Dominic pretended to be in shock, not allowing anyone to touch my mother, intentionally delaying the emergency treatment. How vicious. Faced with undeniable evidence, Daria Dominic, who had been arrogant and defiant moments before, immediately panicked. She struggled, pushed my eldest brother away with all her might, and once again chose to run. We hadn't chased her far when she suddenly stopped. Not knowing what she saw, she turned and looked towards me, then gritted her teeth, pulled out the knife, and lunged at me. Perhaps because I was oppressed by the female lead halo, as soon as she grabbed me, the knife was pressed right against my neck. The cold blade against my skin made me shiver. My eldest, second, and third brothers immediately stopped, not daring to move. Jasper also stepped out, his face cold, looking ready to kill. It was only then that I clearly saw the person who had just blocked Daria Dominic, Egan George. Daria Dominic leaned close to my ear and whispered every word. "Kaylin Dominic, you can't win against me." "I'm telling you the truth. This is a book, and I am the female lead. And you are just cannon fodder destined for a tragic end. I wasn't going to kill you, but I don't know why a piece of cannon fodder like you dares to stir up the whole plot. Anyway, the one who reaches the end of the story definitely has to be me." The knife at my neck didn't scare me, but it threatened the people around me. Egan George didn't care about my life at all, stepping closer. Egan George glared at Daria Dominic and said, "I thought the person you loved was me. Who knew you actually wanted to become my stepmother?" Oh God, what kind of script is this? The original novel didn't have this scene. Just as Egan George and Daria Dominic were locked in eye contact, Jasper dashed towards me like a whirlwind. In a flash, he knocked the knife out of Daria Dominic's hand, pulled me behind his back, and quickly pushed her away. Daria Dominic stumbled a few steps and was caught by Egan George. She tried to run, but he held her tightly. The two struggled back and forth, and the silk scarf around Daria Dominic's neck fell, revealing a series of hickey marks. I shivered, looking at those strawberries. Egan George said, "Daria Dominic, you said Alvin harassed you. I broke his arm. You said Duncan Dominic bullied you. I hired a fan to splash acid on his face. What more do you want?" When he spoke, his eyes was bloodshot, his voice sounding like a justification for his sick love. But before he could finish, Daria Dominic burst into a crazy laugh. "Ha ha! You're the male lead, and you're still shameless enough to boast about those childish tricks. The plot's already a mess. How many years will it take for you to be capable enough to take over the George family company? I'd rather take a shortcut and become your mother. It's faster." The dense hickeys, the venomous words, every detail was like a dagger plunging into Egan George's pride. He was so furious that he couldn't take it anymore and suddenly reached out to choke Daria Dominic fiercely. Daria Dominic struggled in panic, but became completely still within a few minutes. The police and hospital security rushed over, and doctors quickly performed CPR. 5 minutes later, the doctor shook his head and announced, "We couldn't save her." Egan George was arrested on the spot for intentional homicide. Everything finally returned to peace. The light outside my mother's operating room turned off. The doctor announced the surgery was successful. She was no longer in danger but needed further monitoring. Jasper thought. I was scared and hugged me tightly, constantly soothing me. Actually, I wasn't that scared, just a little tired from the continuous drama. The female lead died ahead of schedule. I heard the male lead was screaming in the detention center out of regret. The George family tried everything to save him, but failed. The company was plagued by scandals and collapsed overnight. After my mother was discharged, she recovered very well. My father was extremely apologetic for not being by her side during the danger and decided to cut off all his overseas business to return home and take care of his wife full-time. According to my brothers, Dad loves Mom even more now than before. My eldest brother, wanting to ease my fear after the incident, gave me an expensive jewelry set he had successfully bid on at an auction. My second brother gave me $5 million in spending money and wrote a new song exclusively for me. On the last day of the college entrance exam, my third brother outright shoved Jasper into my room. My third brother said, "Didn't you say you wanted to sleep with him?" I panicked and said, "Wait, when did I say that?" Sleeping hasn't happened yet. But on that day, Jasper officially became my boyfriend. The story seemed to be on 8 times fast-forward mode, ending ahead of schedule. One peaceful afternoon, Jasper and I were eating snacks and daydreaming about the future. While biting into a snack, I rummaged through my pocket and found a strange old coin. What a dirty producer! But when I flipped the coin over, I froze. Its year of issue did not match the timeline in this novel world at all. I stared at the coin, my mind gradually going blank. It was a coin from the original world I once lived in. The space around me started to distort. Jasper cried out, reaching out, trying to pull me back. I tried my best to grab his hand, but it was all in vain. The distance between us grew wider and wider. My world plunged into darkness. When I woke up, my pillow was soaked. I had returned to the world that belonged to me. Was it all just a dream? I flipped through every website, searching all possible novels, but found no book like the one I had lived in. Life continued. After 4 years of university, I fulfilled my dream of becoming a war correspondent. Wearing a bulletproof vest, holding a microphone, and carrying a camera, I stepped onto the front lines of conflict zones. Every day I went out, I felt uneasy. Danger constantly lurked. The sound of exploding shells and roaring fighter jets had become the background music of this city. The place that was once prosperous was now devastated. Countless parentless children wandered everywhere. I know my work cannot change their fate, but I have a responsibility to bring those images to the world so people know, so no one turns a blind eye. That morning, just as the sky was breaking, I was awakened by a nearby bomb. The explosions didn't stop. They got closer and closer. I felt the ground under my feet violently shaking. My phone continuously received calls from colleagues. Run! Get to the shelter now. Boom! A violent shock. The ringing in my ears made my head dizzy. I tried to turn on my camera, pressed the record button, and stepped outside, only to be crushed by a collapsing brick wall. Am I really going to die here? I don't know how long passed before the bombing stopped. I felt blood and sharp pain. In a daze, I heard someone calling my name, Kaylin Dominic. That voice, why does it sound so familiar? It sounds like Jasper. I remembered the transmigration world from that year. I wonder if the eldest brother has listed the company yet. Did the second brother become a music superstar? Did the third brother win the International Championship Cup? And Jasper, who was a few years older than me, has probably gotten married, right? In the hazy smoke and dust, I saw a group of rescuers approaching me saying, "Hold on, we'll get you out." That's right. That voice just now was him calling my name. Looking up, I saw the face of Jasper. Extra story. Jasper, I am Jasper, the male cannon fodder supporting character in an abusive romance novel. I awakened during the 10th iteration of the plot. The author was too much. The official love interest they gave me was Kaylin Dominic, but to glorify the female lead, I was forced to be a devoted lapdog, constantly chasing after her. I hated being a single dog, eternally single in the novel, so I tried to change the plot. But no matter what I did, the outcome was always failure. It wasn't until the 10th time I was reborn that things truly changed, though I didn't know who caused the plot deviation. Until Ralph Dominic told me he could recently hear Kaylin Dominic's voice. I knew my chance had come. I didn't dare to ask if she was awake like me, I just secretly protected her. Unexpectedly, the plot completely collapsed ahead of schedule. Both the male and female leads didn't survive to the end, and I finally got to be with Kaylin Dominic. When I became her boyfriend, the first thing she told me was, "I don't belong to this world." I didn't think we would be separated so soon. After she left, I lived like a walking corpse, not knowing what my purpose was. One day, while drunk, I remembered the dream she once told me, to be a war correspondent. I pulled out my long-forgotten doctor's license. I couldn't become a war correspondent like her, but I could get a little closer to her dream. War is incredibly brutal. Every day, I had to treat countless injured people. My ears were full of the sound of bombs and heartbreaking cries. That day, before dawn, a residential area was bombed. I quickly changed and joined the rescue team. A sobbing girl ran up and said a trapped colleague was a war correspondent named Kaylin Dominic. I knew it was probably just a coincidence, but for some reason, my heart was pounding. I immediately sped up, rushing into the rubble, searching and calling out, "Kaylin Dominic, where are you?" I don't know if the girl from that year truly achieved her dream. If she also became a war correspondent, I only hoped she was still alive and safe. As long as the longing is strong enough, we are bound to meet again. May the world find peace.